Okay, I'd like to call Grandpa Julian up to start the first speech. Grandpa?
You have to go.
Sorry. Just, I'll try and keep it close, but you may have to lean in a bit. I can hold it. You have to get a bit. Get like really close, like really. I put the volume loud.
Good afternoon, everyone. And let me start by thanking all of you for coming to celebrate the life of Saratha. You have already heard what an incredible woman she is. And so many of you did send cards, flowers, and also some of you have already started contributing to the bursary fund in her name at St. Mary's Academy. So I like to thank all of you and for everyone who helped in the celebration, in the food, so you know who you are. So I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. Sarada and I used to watch the evening news together. She was always heartbroken to see all the violence in the world, especially against women and children. One of the things that made her sad was that she was not able to help all these people. But this did not prevent her from helping the people she could. There are many of you here who can witness to this. Let me illustrate this by telling you the tale of the starfish. A young girl was walking along a beach upon which thousands of starfish had been washed up during a terrible storm. When she came to each starfish, she would pick it up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her with amusement. She had been doing this for some time when a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You can't save all these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The little girl bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. Then she looked up at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." The man looked at the girl and thought about what she had done and said. Inspired, he joined the little girl in throwing starfish back into the sea. Soon others joined, and all the starfish were saved. Like we heard in the Gospel reading, Saratha realized that she was not called to feed the 5,000. She realized that she was called to provide the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. Saratha believed in miracles.
Thank you very much, Grandpa. Next, I'd like to call up Auntie Tanya. Auntie Tanya is Grandma Saratha's niece and will be representing the Ayakuti family.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name, as Karen said, is Tanya Balthazar, and Auntie Sarada is the younger sister of my mother, Dayalam. Due to recent health challenges of their own, neither of my parents is able to be here with us today. As a final goodbye, at least until we meet again in heaven, my mother has written Auntie Sarada a letter in collaboration with her siblings and other members of the Ayakuti family. This letter is essentially a compilation of vignettes shared by the Ayakuti family, Auntie's birth family, to celebrate all that she has been to us over the years. In my mother's absence, I have been given the privilege of reading the letter to all of you. My dearest Sister Sarada, I'm sorry I am not there in person where everyone you love is visiting you to say goodbye. The last time such a visitation happened in Canada, we were standing side by side. It was January 13th, 2018. We were standing on the side, away from the casket that held our brother Ravi. We were waiting to say goodbye to him. Between tears, I said to you, "It is so nice to have a lot of siblings, but each time one passes away, our hearts get broken." You quietly said yes. Today, all the remaining siblings are here, having saying goodbye to you for the last time, all except Jiva and myself. Our hearts are broken once again, Sarada. In the fragments of our broken hearts, I see the Sarada, our sister, and what she was to her siblings, and also her nieces, nephews, and friends. First, there is the Sarada of unconditional love. You loved your siblings, even despite our occasional disagreements. There was Sarada the generous. The Ayakuti children looked after each other. The brothers took turns to educate the younger siblings, who had lost their father just a few years earlier. Sarada did not forget that tradition. She took charge of Yoges's education. Auntie Yogesh says, "I remember the special care and time you gave me soon after you got your first teaching job at Good Shepherd Convent in Colombo, Sri Lanka. You took the responsibility of my schooling for grades 11 and 12 in Colombo. It was indeed a special period for me." Then there was my Bala Mama, who was still in England after your family arrived in Canada. He says that one day he told you how he owed a large sum of money to someone or some company, and you immediately sent all the money that was owed and allowed him to pay it back bit by bit. Then there was Harry, who says, "I loved excitement in my 20s. One day I thought I must own a motorbike and ride around in Batiklo, Sri Lanka." Without hesitation or question, she sent me a draft for 10,500 rupees. I bought my first motorbike and enjoyed my youthful life for another 5 years. Bahiradi, your niece, who lives in the United States, says, our first winter in America, for our first winter in America, Sarada Auntie was the one who sent winter jackets for all of us. Thank you, Sarada Auntie. There were many others. In the act of giving, you matched Amma, who never counted the cost of giving. Then there was Sarada the entertainer. Sarada, you had a beautiful voice. Yogesh says about her time in Kotahena, talks about her time in Kotahena, and how you sang together on Friday nights to entertain the household people at their boarding house or your boarding house. Sarada, when your illness was progressing fast, all of us siblings came in March 2023 to spend quality time with you before you got too sick. For a couple of weeks, music and laughter filled the air in your home continuously. The Ayakuti siblings and nieces did what they do when they get together: sing, with accompaniment from Harry and Gayatri, and exchange jokes. You sang some of your signature songs like Sayonara. And then Sarada, the melodious voice. I remember the exhibition at St. Michael's College in 1960. Recording one's voice was a new phenomenon. Dodwell, who would become my husband later, was helping Father Loriot with that part of the exhibition. You came with a group of convent girls and recorded your voice. Like many others, I did too. That evening, Dodwell said that your voice was the best. I thank God that IPF did not affect your voice. Even in March 2023, you were singing most of the time, you could keep up with us, and beautifully too, and that was just 2 years ago. Then there was Sarda, who loved simplicity. You were never one to look for sophisticated things. You were proud of the simple things you chose to live with. You could not have survived happily in Africa otherwise. Even after you arrived in Canada, this joy in simple things continued until the end. You arrived in Canada in April 1986. For the first Christmas in 1986, you went to your family in Vancouver, the closest place to home, because your two younger sisters lived there. Their husbands were students at UBC. Puana writes, my only Christmas celebration with Saratha in Canada stays fresh in my memory. Saratha and family visited Vancouver in December 1986. Saratha and I cooked meals together and talked about our childhood, a favorite topic for Kutis. On Christmas Day, Saratha Yogesh and I, together with our families, drove around Vancouver and rented a van. Our Christmas lunch was at McDonald's. Then there was Saratha, the motivator or encourager. Saratha, do you know the number of people you have inspired to do better in life? Our oldest niece, Gayatri, writes, Sarda Auntie was a true God given encourager in my life. She had a special gift for seeing potential long before others noticed it. She went out of her way to get me a piano accordion, making sure nothing stood in the way of my growth. Later on, together with Uncle Elian, she blessed me with my first electronic keyboard. Then there was Sarada the compassionate. Sarada, you have an endless amount of compassion. Numerous people who have been the recipient of your compassion will attest to that. You never shy away from being in the middle of a sad situation, exuding your compassion to bring comfort and peace. One such event was when Ravi lost his battle with IPF. During that, Ravi, by the way, is their my mother and my uncle and their brother. One such event was, during that difficult time, when all went their respective homes in the evenings, you offered to stay with Ravi's family to do whatever you could to assist them. So Damayanti writes, on behalf of Ravi's family, I want to thank Sarada Akka for staying a few weeks with us during our most difficult time when we had to say goodbye to Ravi. And then there was Sarada, the loyal friend. Of all the friends that came into Amma, our mother's house, yours stand out because your friendships lasted through the years and you all remain friends. Although life took you, Padmini, Ranjini, and Pavalam in different directions in the world, you maintained your friendship. Then there was the Sarada of motherly love. You have many unofficial adopted children and grandchildren around the world. The seeds of this motherly love was planted when you were very young. Once, someone asked our older sister Kamala, again, who was older than her seven siblings, how does your mother manage all these young children? Her answer, what's the problem? We look after the younger ones. And then there was Sarada, the doting auntie. You were so many persons to many people. To your nieces and nephews, you were super aunt. That is true. 17-year-old Tanya, our daughter, that's me, holidaying in Sri Lanka, wanted silver anklets. My question was, where was she going to use them in Canada? But you bought her a pair just because she wanted one. It was the same for every niece or nephew. They knew they were loved. When Tyrone visited you in 2023, despite your sickness, you had multiple dishes and desserts prepared to make sure he was fed well. When any of them needed a place to stay, your home was open. Paradhi and family spent a few months in your home when they arrived in Canada. Paradhi says, I'm looking forward to seeing Auntie Sarada again when my work on earth is done. Your love and care went beyond first generations of nieces and nephews. You made beautiful blankets for every baby. You, together with Elian, attended the wedding of every niece and nephew. Even though you had IPF, you attended Dilani's wedding in Toronto, taking part in all activities. At Sangeet, when the siblings sang, your beautiful voice was outstanding. And then there are the memories in general. Sarada, the fragments of my broken heart show so many moments. Your arrival in Badikalo in 1983, traveling from Nigeria with your young family when the political situation was tense, all because you wanted the chance to meet me and my family after 11 years. And how can I forget the trip to California in the fall of 2018? Puana, you and I went to be guests after Harry retired and had a great time for 2 weeks. And remember our trip to New York when Abapla Anachis died? You called from Winnipeg while I was in the office. I was excited, and that we too were taking a trip to New York together and staying with Tanya. I said we are going to have a great time, and the clerk who was sitting next to me said, "Aren't you going for a funeral?" And I said, "Yes, that too." Sarada, and there's then Sarada, the SRT family member and my faithful support. In your preteen years, Kamala and I tried to be aloof with you because you would blurt out what we wanted to keep a secret. By 1959, you grew up to be my trusted friend. Kamala had left and found her Prince Charming. We had to weather Amma's disappointment and its consequences. It so happened that my Prince Charming came galloping from across the road. It was more complicated because of ethnic differences. You and Ravi were my guards and confidants. We called ourselves SRT Toothpaste, or SRT, which is a brand of toothpaste in Sri Lanka. Life would have been very hard if not for the support of both of you. You both were the only ones who knew exactly when my wedding was going to be, although there was no chance that you could come. For the part that you played in our life history, Dodville and I are eternally grateful. The SRT also had many other fun moments. Remember the time we read the story of Dracula together? And when night fell each day, we moved in a group because we were so afraid. Sarada, as small kids, when we spent summers in Kellar, do you remember what Pariachi called you? You were small and you were nothing but trouble. So she named you Musuru. And so for those of us who are not Tamil speakers, Musuru means red ant. Musuru grew up to be a thoughtful and kind person. You met challenges but overcame them. This was God's way of preparing you for the role you would play in the future wherever you went, especially in your adopted home in Canada, to be God's angel in Winnipeg. It is not too long ago that we were talking of old times. All of a sudden, when we least expected, you are gone. I try to imagine how it would have been when you were called home. We are told that you passed away peacefully in your sleep. We are told that maybe the song of the angels was there to welcome you and to guide you along the way to the other side. I imagine you being taken, smiling, ready to see the face of God, as you have been longing to do so recently. I imagine that you stepped out of the clouds. Appa, Amma, Asaya Naji, Atan, Rabi, and Kamla were there smiling and stretching out their hands to welcome you. Maybe Appa was taking your hand, announcing to the others like the old days. Now Sarada Devi will step in. And you just turned around, looking at the earth, at all of us, waving, smiling, and in your sweet voice singing sayonara, and vanishing behind the clouds to the other side. I hope you can hear us saying back, Sayonara Sarada. Rest in peace, our dearest sister.
Thank you very much, Auntie Tanya. Next, I'd like to call up Kiran, and afterwards it'll be Mohi and Devika. Grandma Saratha, you were in a league of your own. You were the grandest of mothers, truly a cut above the rest of them. No offense to all the other wonderful grandmothers here. I could go on and on down the endless list of her elite grandma qualifications, but that's not what I'm here to speak about today. Instead of talking about my grandma, Saratha Joseph, I'd like to talk about our grandma, Saratha Joseph. Fun fact, around 97% of everyone here has something in common. Anybody have any guesses? Huh? Any guess?
We're Sri Lankan.
No. You see, that whopping 97% of you have all been to grandma's for dinner. Random? Yes. Relevant? Absolutely. Think about it for a second. Isn't that a crazy statistic? Knowing the number of people she did isn't that uncommon, but that dinner statistic is a prime example of the fact that Saratha Joseph was everyone's grandma. I've been told that I have quite the imagination, but I literally cannot picture the experience of meeting Saratha Joseph for the first time. Truly, it must have been wild. All I know is that statistically speaking, you were getting a dinner invite, and after that threshold was crossed, you were part of the family. Wherever she was master of the house, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, England, 731 Fleet Avenue, or 590 Fairmont Road, that house was always Grandma's house. Long before she herself ever became one, Saratha Joseph exemplified that quality all true grandmothers have. Unconditional love for her brood, with firm yet warm discipline administered when necessary. But for her, everyone, young, old, related, unrelated, someone she just met at church who moved to Canada yesterday, they were all part of her brood. She'd often get tied up in other people's drama, but it was never for love of the juicy gossip game. It was only ever out of love for whoever needed help. She herself told me it was usually against her better judgment to get involved, but evidently, she just couldn't remain idle in the face of injustice. From my own experience, there have been many times I've called Grandma a few hours before our regular Sunday dinners, like, "Hey, Grandma, I know you probably finished cooking by now, but would it be okay if I brought a few friends from Badminton over?" These were people she'd never even met before, and yet there was always enough food, always enough room at the table, always an invite to come again. Other than Tamil, science, catechism, and canasta, Saratha Joseph never taught me anything. She simply had to lead by example and shine so brightly, a beacon of passionate hospitality and kindness, that I couldn't help but want to be like her. Every so often, my friends refer to me as the mom of the group, which is ironic because I'm the youngest. But that's incorrect. I'm the grandma of the group. And what can I say? I learned from the best. Grandma, we're all going to miss you more than we can capture with words. You achieved what most people could only dream of and went one step further by leaving behind a wonderful legacy. Rest assured, you led us by example, as you always did, to learn your finest art, how to be grandmas for each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Now, finally, Devika and Mohi.
Grandma Saratha passed away on the morning of November 14th, 2025, at Riverview Health Center. 20 years earlier, she was at a different hospital, holding me for the first time. I knew Grandma for exactly 20 years, and in that time, she taught me so many things. But I'll keep the list brief, or we'll be here for a long time. Grandma taught me the importance of forgiveness, how to put others first, to always have faith in hard times, to use the gifts I'm given, and she also gave me my love of music. Above all, she taught me to be grateful, and I'm so grateful for her. Most grandchildren can only thank a grandparent for the existence of their mom or their dad. In our case, Grandma was responsible not only for bringing Mom into this world, but also for Mom and Dad ending up in the same country. She worked tirelessly to bring Dad's family to safety in Canada, welcoming them into her home when they arrived and always considering them family. So many factors have to be considered when talking about causation, but under any lens, everything I am and every opportunity I've ever had started with Grandma and her nature of helping wherever it was needed. I have always thought my family unique in this respect, attributing so much to just one person. But writing these words, I realized that we are not. So many people in this room came to Canada because of Grandma's efforts, or they found friends and family and love in the community that she built around her. Our lives, everyone here and so many others, would not be the same if Saratha Joseph had not lived the life she did. The butterfly effect refers to a theory by Edward Norton Lawrence. He proposed that small disturbances in the Earth's atmosphere can greatly alter weather phenomena. Something as seemingly insignificant as the flutter of a butterfly's wings can change the path of a tornado or determine whether a storm occurs or not. To me, Grandma is the butterfly that fluttered her wings, changing so many lives in so many ways, and it will take generations before she can even begin to be forgotten.
While Mohi was Grandma's third grandchild, I, like Mom, came into this world and Grandma gained a new title, albeit one that she already embodied for many years previously. I had the privilege of being her first grandchild, the grandchild who had the longest time with Grandma. I kind of feel selfish for having so many tender, beautiful memories with Grandma, but it wasn't really my fault that I got so much quality time with her, and that's quality time that I know so many of you wish that you could have had, or wish that you would have had in those potential memories that Uncle Lee was talking about. My mom prepared some CDs back in the day for me before I was born and when I was a baby with songs, poems, stories performed by loved ones so I would know their voices. And Grandma Saratha, of course, starred on those CDs, singing her favorite songs to me every night, even when she wasn't there with me in person. I've just started listening to those again, and I'm sure I will continue to for a very, very long time. Our beautiful butterfly of a grandma planted seeds in my heart and in those of everyone here, especially throughout, everyone who would gather at Grandma's house lovingly at all the gatherings throughout my entire life. It was something I feel very privileged to have experienced. I cannot help but to be in awe whenever I see the fruit of her labor, the real-time impact she made on communities and individuals. It's one of the biggest inspirations that I have in my life that I'll continue to carry forward. So I'll close with, Grandma, if you're listening to us from your new home in heaven, I just want you to know I'm so grateful that you were the biggest gift that I could have ever imagined. I may not have realized it while you were painstakingly teaching me how to cook when I was little, restraining me from measuring the ingredients imperfectly, or not saving every last drop of cake batter from the bowl, but you have left a mark on this entire world that will never fade. I see you and think of you in almost everything I do. I felt your presence throughout this past week planning the celebration of life, and I know I'll feel your presence while preparing our annual batch of Christmas cake, or rich cake as some of you may know it. Thank you for your love, generosity, and humility, and I pray for all of us we can continue carrying your legacy forward. As the Irving Berlin song says, the song is over, but the melody lingers on.
Thank you, Devika and Mohi. And now for the very last thing, the vote of thanks. So I'll begin. To St. Mary's, thank you very much for providing the halls, the atrium, the auditorium, and the cafeteria on such short notice for our use. Thank you for helping us continue Grandma Saratha's legacy by setting up the bursary fund, and for your generosity, hospitality, warmth, and dedication to make this event happen. I would like to thank all the people who helped make this celebration of life happen. To the Bloomfield cricket members, thank you for volunteering as parking attendants. Thank you to all those who contributed food to the reception. To all the people who supported our family with food this past week, thank you. Thank you, Uncle Peter, Auntie Shrima, Idunil, and Ruin for the short eats. To the many others who contributed to the reception in a multitude of meaningful ways, thank you. Thank you to Uncle Prashant for providing the portraits and the programs. To the Ayakutti family, the Balthazar family, and Staniel, thank you for the beautiful flower arrangements. Thank you to Uncle Mohan, Auntie Gayantika, Keenan, Kylie, for ushering, Kat, Auntie Gemina, Udav, Auntie Roma, Auntie Shiro, and Nisali. To the pallbearers, Uncle Ralston, Uncle Dilipan, Uncle Chamo, and Uncle Risley, thank you. To all those who traveled to be here with us, with all of us to celebrate Grandma Sarda's legacy, thank you. Thank you to Auntie Viji and family, Sandra, Majuana Kankanamge, Ratna Sri, Christy Sandaruan, Dilani Rivera, for working closely with our family and caring for Grandma Sarda in her final days. To Uncle Ralston and Auntie Shaman, thank you for your tireless work this week, coordinating with and mobilizing volunteers. To all of us who are here, to all who are here with us and those joining us online, thank you for your presence and love. Now, this concludes the speeches and the formal portion of this celebration, but please feel free to stay, enjoy the refreshments, and continue to reflect on the legacy of Saratha Joseph as her melody lives on. Thank you.